Hi guys, so welcome to another session of our introduction to data science, where we are learning introduction to Python, introduction to Python for data science. Now, in this video, we're going to look at numeric operations. We're going to look at numeric operations in Python, right? Python supports a set of numeric operations for its numeric data types, and we're going to be working on that. We're going to be learning one object at a time, what these operations are and the possible results. It's also interesting to know that Python supports these operations with the exception of complex numbers. Right, so here are a list of operations. So what I'm going to do is that I am going to make a list or create the numeric data types. So I create the numeric data types and then use these operations, and I'll mention the operations as I use them. So first thing is to create two variables containing numeric data types. Python numeric data types. So first thing I'm going to do is I'll call this, let me give it num underscore 4, and then I'll call this 100. Then so basically this is a variable. Basically we've assigned 100 to a variable. Then next we're going to have number underscore 5, and inside we're going to have 10, right? Again, just like this, we have assigned this variable the variable 10. Yes. So we run this. So we have two variables with numeric data types inside of them. Inside the data types, or the data types inside these two variables. Now, the first operation we are going to be working with is the sum operation, right? So what we're going to have here is an addition, basically. So we're going to have number underscore 4 plus number underscore 5. So this is basically an addition, right? And so you can see this is a numeric operation, right? And it's an addition itself, right? And so with that you can see that if I run this, we have 110, and so you can see the sum of these two brings out an integer. Then the next thing we're going to also show you is that we can do the subtraction of numbers 4, which is another numeric operation, and again we can basically do this, and it tells you can see that that's 90. Now, the next operation we are going to perform is going to be multiplication. So again, we have number underscore 4, and we will definitely be doing number underscore 5. And basically, this is a multiplication operation, and boom, we got 1,000. Next is we're going to be getting a division. So here we are going to have number again underscore 4. It's supposed to be a forward slash, and that's a division. And again, you've noticed that dividing two integers creates the output is a float, right? So that's a division. So these are questions. Now we're also going to have another type which is called, it's like it's not like, it's a flawed division. So here we're going to have number underscore 4, then we're going to have 2, right? We're going to have 2, and this we have number underscore 5. So when we have this, what we basically have is a flawed, it's called a flawed division. So what it means is, you know, it's like, the idea is like the floor and the ceiling, right? So it's just going to find the output nearest to the lowest part of it. So it's like on the floor, it's looking for something closer to the ground. So this is it. So that means if we divide this, we're going to have 10. Now it's also interesting for us if we're just going to look at this, for instance, and we wanted to say, let us divide, say 10, and we use this flawed part with 3, right? Just so you know, it's going to bring out 3. But if we decided to do this with the division, it's going to bring out, you know, it's going to have a floats as what it is. So there's a distinction. There's an easy distinction for you to see. Then there's also we're going to also talk about the modulo operator, where we have, here we go, we have number, and then the modulo is a percentage sign, and here we have 5, so you can see that. And so we'll put this. So of course we have 0. So what modulo does is it finds the remainder. So you know, we're dealing with 100 and modulo 10. So here 10 goes into 10 and there's no remainder. That's why we have this. We have sorry, that's a mistake here, exactly. And so we don't have any remainder. If this was 8, right, you could tell how many times 8 will go into this. 8 should go, so we have if we have 8 times 10, that's 80. So 88, and there's 96, so 12. So 8 goes into 10, into 100 12 times. But then what's the remainder? That's going to be 4. So when we do this, you now see that the modulo brings out the remainder, so it checks that out. So yeah, so that's basically some operators that you noticed. See, we have all these operators there, and of course there are other types in the description. I'm going to drop a link to a documentation of how the numeric data type works, so you can look through those documentations and see if you can see that you can make sense of all those things. One last one before I leave is, I also want to talk about something called the augmented assignment, right? The augmented assignment. So let me put this as Markdown. Beautiful. Right now, the augmented assignments is, you're going to find them. They look something like this. So you have a plus and an equal sign. You have a minus and an equal sign. You have just all the operators, you know. So what it means is, and I'll show you what this does in a few. So you can see here that if I have a variable, say I have number which is a variable, and I wanted a situation where I wanted to add, say, no, let me call this number 6, and I wanted to add 10 to it. There's 10 in it, and I want a situation where I'm going to do an additional 10 to it, right? Normally, if I did this, I would have to come again and say number, and this time 6, and then I say equal to number 6, and I want 10 added to it, right? Now this is somewhat cumbersome, right? Because at the end of the day, I'll have to bring out the number here and say, okay, let me check out what's in number 6, and I have 20. Now, but with the augmented assignment, it makes it pretty easy, right? So all I just have to do is simply say I have number 6 and I want an addition, right? And see that? So pretty simple. I don't have to do this. I don't have to keep writing the long code and all that in order to get into it. So this is basically what this does. So you can do it with a bunch of things. You can do it with multiplication. You can choose to have multiplication here. That means if I have this, then I already have number 6 is already working. If I do this, if I copy this and I put it here, but this time around I make this multiplication, you know. So these are all different types. Here, if I check number underscore 6, I can see that it's 30. If I introduce this and I check numbers underscore 6 again, you can see that it's changed to 300. So final part of this is showing the augmented assignment, pretty optimized way of, you know, assigning a variable and maybe possibly with an additional operator. The recap, what we did here was numeric operations in Python: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor divisions, modulus or modulo, depending on how you want to call it. And you can see all that. And final part is the augmented assignment. So right, that's basically that, right? This will help you if you're trying to pick apart the philosophy behind using operators or mathematical operators in Python, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe to learn bite-sized object-related Python learning. I don't even know what I said, but whatever the case is, you know, you learn Python one object at a time.